When you turn off the lights in the windless deep of the night, quietly gazing at that seemingly deep, pure, and cold pitch-black night sky outside the window, you might think you are facing an absolute void, yet the most counterintuitive and mind-boggling discovery in astronomy tells us that the darkness is actually packed with the very first, and most monumental, echo of the entire universe. That if our eyes could perceive the microwave spectrum, you would discover, with a mix of awe and tenderness, that the entire night sky is actually emitting an exceedingly faint, yet ubiquitous, dim red glow. There is no scorching heat of the sun here, nor the dazzling brilliance of starlight. There is only an ancient, near-static residual warmth, perpetually maintained at $2.73 K, $ above absolute zero. Cosmic microwave background radiation, the newborn murmur left to the starry sky by the Big Bang. It resembles a prolonged, faint sigh left to the night by this spacetime after enduring a cataclysmic birth. Tonight, let us accompany the gently flickering firelight and this story you need not effortfully memorize, to walk together into its true lifetime. In this long descent and dissipation, there is no pain or clamor, only nature's most ultimate restraint, romance, and tenderness. The starting point of the story traces back to that utterly ancient instant when even time and space did not yet have names. Roughly 13.8 billion years ago, our universe was thunderously born in a violent expansion beyond description. The universe then was not the silent vista we see today, composed of countless cold planets and twilight abysses, but an extremely hot, dense, and chaotic plasma furnace. Myriads of electrons, protons, and high-energy photons were tightly squeezed together, resembling a crowd of blind dancers colliding frantically in a narrow square. Photons, the messengers delivering light, had just been born and wished to fly afar, yet within mere 100 millionths of a second, they would bump into an oncoming free electron. Light could not escape, unable to pierce through this thick chaos. The entire universe was like a boiling, opaque, milky white thick soup, radiating temperatures of thousands of degrees. This despairing imprisonment and chaos persisted for a long yet fleeting 380,000 years, until the expansion of the universe finally allowed the temperature to drop to a critical threshold. That temperature was approximately $3000 K, $1, a wondrous moment when the restless universe began to grow gentle and introverted. Precisely at this moment, the once frantically running free electrons, due to a drop in energy, finally became willing to slow down, gently captured by the neighboring protons to combine into the simplest hydrogen atoms. As free electrons vanished en masse from the square, the once overcrowded universe suddenly became incredibly empty and transparent. At a certain instant, those photons, imprisoned for 380,000 long years, were finally freed from any hindrance. Taking light strides, they began to surge toward the boundless void in all directions like untamed horses. That was the first truly freely penetrating light in the universe, romantically dubbed by astronomers as the first cry of the universe, marking the first time the protagonist of our story left its immortal imprint upon this spacetime. This batch of freely running photons, bearing the searing temperature of up to $3000 K, $1 from the dawn of creation, commenced a journey spanning tens of billions of years through the ocean-like vast rifts of spacetime. However, the expansion of the universe never ceased. As space continuously stretched, these ancient photons underwent a highly restrained yet cruel washing of fate along their journey. Their wavelengths were stretched inch by spacetime itself, transforming from the initially blinding visible light into infrared rays imperceptible to the naked eye, and finally into the extremely faint microwaves of today. Their temperature, too, cooled down from the $3000 K, $1 of yesteryear over more than 10 billion years of lonely wandering, leaving behind a faint residual warmth of a mere $2.73 K, $1 above absolute zero. When they finally crossed paths with human technology on 20th century Earth, an ironic yet destiny-laden, wonderful misunderstanding occurred. It was the year 1964 in New Jersey. Two young radio astronomers, Penzias and Wilson, were calibrating a colossal horn-shaped instrument known as the Holmdel horn antenna. They originally intended to use this sensitive device to capture faint radio signals from the fringes of the Milky Way, but unexpectedly heard an irremovable, sizzling, harsh static noise in their headphones instead. That sound was highly peculiar. It did not seem to stem from the nearby bustling New York City, nor from the familiar solar system in the night sky above. Whether by day or by night, no matter which direction they pointed the giant antenna toward the sky, that low, regular, and somewhat desperate, hissing sound followed them like a shadow. The two scientists plunged for a time into deep distress and self-doubt. even suspecting that some malfunction had occurred within the telescope, they climbed into the massive horn mouth, employing every method to clear out the pigeon nests nesting inside and wiping away every trace that might cause interference. Yet, when the dust settled and the instrument was turned on again, that lonely hissing from the deepest dark stubbornly echoed in the late-night laboratory. They did not know at the time that what they were listening to was by no means machine static or earthly noise, but the very first faint cry left by the entire universe during its infancy. This strange noise that rang in their headphones for months was precisely that batch of cosmic microwave background radiation, which set out 380,000 years after the Big Bang and wandered through the void for 13.8 billion years. To fully discern this ancient murmur enveloping humanity, scientists, over the subsequent decades, sent more exquisite and sensitive satellites into the unshielded cosmos. The COBE satellite launched in 1989, and later the Planck satellite, which stunned the world by mapping out the most meticulous all-sky map of the universe, finally unveiled this gentle behemoth in the absolute quiet of the cosmic vacuum. When astronomers converted the data transmitted by the satellites into a newborn all-sky map modeled with intertwined red, yellow, and blue, resembling the human cerebral cortex, the entire world fell silent. This image, hailed as the first photograph of the universe, showcased the minuscule yet critical temperature fluctuations of the cosmic microwave background across the entire sky. These fluctuations were so faint that the temperature variance between the extreme red and blue was a mere 100,000th of a degree, akin to an almost invisible, fine ripple arising upon a lake as smooth as a mirror. However, it was precisely this subtle anisotropy of 100,000th of a degree that dictated the joys and sorrows of all galaxies, stars, and even humanity itself over the subsequent hundreds of billions of years. In those dim yellow regions where the temperature was slightly higher, gravity began acting like a gentle weaver, slowly pulling in surrounding matter to condense over hundreds of millions of years into the primordial stellar sparks and vast cosmic webs. Conversely, in the deep blue regions where the temperature was slightly lower, matter became increasingly sparse, ultimately devolving into those silent cosmic voids spanning hundreds of millions of light-years. This ancient shell woven from photons of 13.8 billion years ago is not only the endpoint of a history, but the grand cradle from which all subsequent life and civilization could emerge. With a near-purely rational imperfection, it shattered the dead balance, sketching out the initial, delicate blueprint for future material reproduction upon the canvas of eternal night. Every soul sitting before a computer, sleepless with anxiety over life, the primordial gravitational convergence point of every carbon atom and iron atom within their body can be faintly traced back to a corresponding tiny origin in this modeled, ancient photograph. The most healing and reassuring aspect of the cosmic microwave background radiation lies in its absolute fairness and omnipresence, which transcend all mundane comprehension. It does not require you to scale towering mountain peaks, nor to purchase expensive astronomical hardware, nor even to intentionally open your eyes to seek it out. Today, when astronomical knowledge has become deeply rooted in public consciousness, we finally understand that whenever you turn on those old CRT television sets long obsolete, watching the harsh static snow flashing on the screen without a signal and hearing that noisy hissing, roughly 1% of that energy stems from this newborn murmur left to the starry sky by the Big Bang. At this very moment, in this quiet room and in every corner of this building, countless noble and ancient photons are gently and silently penetrating your skin, your tense brain, and the bed beneath you at the staggering speed of 300,000 kilometers per second. They have traversed the cold void for 13.8 billion years, never slowing down for the rise of any advanced civilization, nor altering their course for the extinction of any star. They witnessed the birth and demise of countless galaxies, and the magnificent tragedy of black holes devouring all, yet ultimately chose to shed all their searing sharpness, morphing into a gentle residual warmth of $2.73 K, a dollar to quietly envelope you and this boisterous world together. In the face of such a grand, robust, and eternal astronomical scale, all the gains and losses we cling to during the day, the anxieties, regrets, and pains that make us toss and turn, appear utterly insignificant, like a drop in the ocean, fleeting in an instant. It is like a refined elder who has weathered countless vicissitudes and seen through the disillusionment of spacetime, whispering tenderly in your ear during every lonely late night at a near-static frequency, "It's all right, everything is fine, everything will pass." Through 13.8 billion years of lonely wandering, it proves that companionship is the most ultimate and enduring ancient romance of this spacetime. with the passage of time, our universe continues to expand toward an endless future at an irreversible pace. Over the next hundreds of billions of years, the wavelengths of this newborn murmur left by the Big Bang will be further stretched, and its temperature will infinitely approach that absolutely freezing absolute zero endpoint, perhaps on an incredibly distant day. Even the most sensitive radio instruments will no longer be able to capture the slightest trace of it. It will truly and completely dissolve into that eternal dead silence and void. Yet at least at this very moment, in the brief golden age when human civilization can look up at the starry sky, it still flickers persistently, still using its last remaining trace of warmth to guard the night sky of this spacetime from being swallowed by a merciless absolute nothingness. Cosmic microwave background radiation, the newborn murmur left to the starry sky by the Big Bang. It answers all ultimate riddles regarding the backdrop of the night mentioned in the prologue. It proves that we have never been orphans accidentally appearing in the universe, but notes destined to emerge in this tens of billions of years-long symphony. The world has completely quieted down. The moonlight outside the window, together with those ancient photons, is weaving a most secure and reassuring dim light and shadow in your room. There is no need to ponder where the end of spacetime lies, nor to worry about when tomorrow's sun will rise. You only need to attune to the oldest, most regular, slow heartbeat of this universe, completely relaxing your breath. The story has gently touched down. That interstellar lullaby that has drifted for 13.8 billion years is softly echoing in your mind. Please close your eyes, and peacefully sink into this deepest, most tranquil dreamland woven for you by the entire universe.